That's what we don't want to make sure.
Time to bring this meeting to order. September the 12th, 2024. Roll call, please.
Mayor Black? Mayor Pro Tem Moore, I know, is in on the phone. Commissioner Connor? Yes. Commissioner Laws? Here. Commissioner Locklear? Here. Commissioner Morton? Here.
It's about for education. Dear God, our Father in heaven, thanking you once again for your blessings upon our town, upon its people, upon its staff. Thank you, God, for all that's gathered here tonight as we celebrate the town and its accomplishments, its employees, and the longevity. Thank you for all that you've done for us. And we pray, God, as we make this decisions tonight, you give us guidance. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, we have a motion to adopt the agenda for the.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Yeah. All right, next, item on the agenda would, go over to our town manager.
Yep.
Mr. Hanson.
Yeah. And Mr. Mayor, just wanted to, just remind everyone, while the commissioner can participate over the phone, voting, he cannot actually vote remotely. The governor's executive order has that, so just wanted to
You will
remind
be
you.
present, done, but you can't vote. Right here. It's something that our governor did for this, if that's all right.
All right. Mayor and board, we are very excited. We have a lot of things to celebrate and do tonight prior to getting into business here. Captain Down, if you come up here, please. We're going to start by swearing in two of our officers, two of our new officers. We're going to start with Mr. Eric Woods. Mr. Woods, if you please come up here, please. And what I will do is, do the beginning, say your names, you say I, your name, and I'll read the whole thing, and at the end, you state your I for us here. I, Eric Scott Woods, Jr. Accept the duties and responsibilities of the position of police officer of the town of Ranlo and do solemnly and sincerely swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, and that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God. I do solemnly swear that I will be alert and vigilant to enforce the criminal laws of the state of North Carolina, that I will not be influenced in any manner on account of personal bias or prejudice, that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my office as police officer according to the best of my skill and judgment. Congratulations. All right, Jose Ricardo Ranlo, let's please come forward. We're gonna do the same thing. I'll say aye and say your name. Again, start here. I, Jose Ricardo Ranlo,
I, Jose Ricardo Rivera,
accept the duties and responsibilities of the position of police officer of the town of Ranlo, and do solemnly and sincerely swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, and that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God. I do solemnly swear that I will be alert and vigilant to enforce the criminal laws of the state of North Carolina, that I will not be influenced in any matter on any account of personal bias or prejudice, that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my office as a police officer according to the best of my skill and judgment. Congratulations. Thank you. All right.
Next item on the agenda would be, also employee recognition.
Perfect. Yes, sir. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to start by introducing our Public Works Director, at least for the time being. Mr. Jason Green, we can start with our first recognition of the night, Mr. Charles Harper, for 5 years of service. And both the employees that we're going to recognize tonight are this month. So it is actively just 5 years this month. Mr. Green?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Standing before you tonight, to congratulate Charles Harper on 5 years of service to the town. CJ resides here in Ranlo with his wife Crystal and is a major asset to the public works. CJ started with the town as a water and sewer employee and also a garbage truck driver. CJ came to us from City of Gastonia with the CDLs and his sewer losses. CJ moved up in his roles as interim public work director during the search for town manager within 2 months of his employment. During that time, he reviewed the water and sewer system development and developed a plan for inventory management that we still have in place today. After my return to public works, CJ was officially made the assistant public works director and has not looked back since. CJ has been instrumental in replacing the town's water meter system that was old and outdated. CJ has been very active in the town's lead and copper survey that is about 95% complete today. CJ also leads a crew of water and sewer employees that are here for him tonight, that I will put up against anyone with the type of attitude that we get the job done. CJ is my right-hand man, couldn't have been successful without him. Please join me in congratulating CJ on 5
Next item on the agenda.
Oh, sorry. I got ahead of myself. I'm gonna go ahead and do Captain Dowd. Okay, pardon.
Another
I forgot.
employee recognition.
Yeah. All right, so Mayor Report, I'm excited. This is the big, so Captain Dowd has been working for the town this month for 20 years. He's been working for the town of Ranlo, which is really outstanding. Chief Lunsford was gonna say a few words. I'm gonna say, what Chief was gonna write, but I also want to tell a quick story of mine, before we go ahead. So I was sworn in on Thursday in January. I was supposed to start work on Tuesday, but on Sunday night, I got a call about the woman that was climbing the tower here in Penn. I believe Chief was out in Cherokee or somewhere at a conference. And Captain Dow here, who I don't even think I had met maybe at the time, was in charge at the scene when I got there. So I was kind of thinking to myself, oh, I'm a new town manager, I gotta come in here and I gotta start saying, let's figure out what we got going on, let's get this thing straight, right? And all I was really in charge of at the time was getting the story straight so that I could tell the media if the media came, and tell the media, let's go to town hall and let these guys work. So I walked right up to Captain Dow, and I said, hey, what's going on? Give me the story. And he looked at me, and he said, can't do that right now. Turn around and walk out. And I remember being so proud of him. Because that to me was like, that's a leader right there. He said, you know what? I can't get down on the weeds. I gotta go back to managing this whole situation. I'm in charge of all this. And if I get pulled over here, I can't go over here and start making calls. Cap came by the, like that Tuesday or whatever, I started with Chief, and I think I came in like this. I think they thought that maybe they'd be in trouble. And he kind of said like, I'm sorry that I didn't, have time. I said, no, don't be sorry. I'm actually very proud of the fact that you did that. Because to me, that's a strong leader. He didn't just come by to appease me or tell me what I need. He said, I'm in charge of the situation. When I have time, I'll come back to you and I'll tell you exactly what's going on. So I was just already just in the beginning, just awestruck by the example of leadership that Captain Dow has here. So I'll read now what Chief Lunford has written to as well. Today we celebrate a remarkable milestone, 20 years of commitment and service to this community. Captain Dow, your 2 decades of dedication to law enforcement set a standard of excellence within our department. Throughout your career, you have made a profound impact on the lives of those you have sworn to protect and serve. As we recognize this significant achievement, we extend our deepest gratitude for your years of hard work and sacrifice. Thank you, Captain Dow, and this part is a little odd, for 20 more years. Now, congratulations on your tenure. Captain Dow, that's really nice.
All right, next item on the agenda is a recognition of Levi Melvin. Levi here.
So and Commissioner Connor, if you have anything you want to add in, just let me know. Would you mind hitting those 2 lights on that side, please? So Mr. Melvin is a resident here in Ranlo, and was going to come speak tonight, and he'll explain why he wasn't. But Mr. Melvin had a pretty incredible, I guess, experience, and that he just felt compelled to want to share with us, involving one of our officers, who I believe is here somewhere, Officer Workman. So I'll let the video play, and what I will ask too, if everybody could be kind of quiet. This is as loud as this thing will go. You can hear it if we're quiet, but I'll let him go.
Thank you. This man is so appreciated. the comfort that you brought to them. I heard it from, you all, on a Sunday, she transitioned on a Sunday. I was at the Fuse watching a baseball game. I get a phone call. I really didn't know what you said at the beginning. I think I asked you who you were a couple times. And then finally, he says to me that he let me know that the body was still in the home and that they felt like they wanted me to be there. He asked me to come to the home. It was just perfect. It's just what we needed to hear. He gave us the comfort we needed. And I met with Mr. Levi Melvin this afternoon. These gifts on the table are for you and your family. He said, Robin, I know his wife is having twins, and my family definitely wants to be a blessing. There's one card I need to take. He has a card for the fire department too. Got Dougie's name on it. But all of that is from the Melvin family, and they just asked me to bring it since he couldn't be here. Thank you so very much for your service. The main thing that I love was that you weren't a police officer to that. He said he was like a brother to me. He comforted me in the work at his time he's had. So thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, do we have any comments from the attendees here? Not, this is the time, where we're through with all our presentations, we're fixing to get into town business, and if y'all came just for the presentation, y'all can, we'll give you a time to leave at this point. Not, it's fixed to get, board stuff.
Congratulations. Congratulations, sir.
Name this little thing.
Yes, sir. Very excited for you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I tell you what, welcome aboard. I'll tell you what, I think it's to your side.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll make sure that the mayor knows. Mr. Mayor, we do have someone that wants to speak. We sure do. Yeah, go right. Let's get name and address too.
Being on the street for like an hour or two and they park at the toll. And so is there anything that you can do for parking in the community or alternate parking or room neighbors or any community members or having parties? What can we do so cars are not towed? Any suggestions or recommendations? Appreciate it.
Well, what the business is Spencer Heights or, it's right.
That's right.
I think the problem that we had in the original concept of, going to the no parking was emergency vehicles wasn't able to get down the road. And if you allow parking on the roads, we actually wreck fire trucks. Is that right, Doug? Okay. Doug's a fire chief. We actually reckon fire trucks going down because people's cars, so we had to put those ordinance. I don't know what to do, you know. Want to protect our firemen and want to protect people's homes. So it's a slippery slope there.
Is there something we can do with the towing as far as maybe, I get that you don't want cars like parked overnight, but if it's just a situation where the car is there for hours, and again, it's not, really on the main road so much, but maybe in like the cul-de-sac, there's something that, like, some type of, towing policies that we can address, or?
And Mr. Mayor, if I may, I believe we do have a parking permit policy through our police department that also could be explored as well. And we could always connect after this meeting and I can provide you with that information. That's something I'd be happy to do.
My second thing is, I have Mr. Department come to our HOA meeting, and we discussed speed bumps. And so I want to ask, is there a follow-up for the speed bump conversation, or is that something we can go offline as well?
It's actually item number 12 on our meeting tonight. So we'll be discussing it tonight.
Next item is old business, adoption of our August 8th regular meeting minutes. I have a motion. Got a motion, we have a second. Have a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Next item is the adoption of the August 8th closed session meeting minutes. Do I have a motion with a motion, that's a second. All in favor? So carried. Item on the agenda is town hall discussion from staff and Brian Stilwell, Gaston County.
So yeah, Mr. Mayor, if I may start this one off and then I'll pass it off to Mr. Skiba here in just a minute. So I wanted to make sure that, because this is a big discussion, I want to make sure that it was happening in open session here and that I kind of spend just a minute talking about some of the kind of the historical context, maybe how we got to here. And then we're very lucky to have Mr. Skiba here from the county, who's going to also talk a little bit about some of the things that he saw while he was here. So the topic is town hall, and so for some of the board, or maybe the folks that are here, maybe the folks listening on Facebook, we know that we have an old building. We know that this building has been here for a long time, and we've gone through some challenges with our building. For example, several years ago, the building had to be jacked up and we had to put piers underneath the building because the backside was falling away from the front. We're still seeing issues, and we're actually seeing very rapidly increasing issues. So what I wanted to do for some of the folks at home is I've included some photos of the building here. So this is one of our police department bathrooms. This is a crack that runs on the backside of the building. It's a little bit hard to see, but there's staining and rot up and above an office. This is actually a catch bucket in two police officers' office that collects the drips, and you can see it's like a black soot color. These are our working conditions, at least for right now. It's hard to see here, but we have the double T roof system where we have concrete double T beams that go across. It's a little bit hard to see now, but in between each section, you can actually see water coming through. It's actually at the point now, board, since the last time we've met, that the water has come into our police station through our electrical system, and we actually don't have power to half of our police station right now because of the issues that we're having with this building, which includes some very high-pertinent areas that we need to keep ventilated. You'll also see here, if you can make it out, about middle of the picture, a quarter of the way down, it looks like a chunk out of that double T there. I'll get back to that. Don't forget about that. This is the water that comes in every single time it rains, not just in heavy rain events. This is water in our bay areas and our police station. This is the lovely crack that if you look at me while I'm talking, you'll see directly behind me. This crack, since I've started, has spread and is now offset. And what's important to know too is that that's not a support wall or wall where it's the only thing it's attached to is the back. So the fact that it's splitting shows us that we have very serious problems here. The latest two pictures that you probably haven't seen yet, board or anybody in this room, And we'll get to, so I'll let Mr. Skiba talk about his inspection, and I'll talk after that about the structural engineer that I spoke with. But the double Ts up top are not supposed to have any blemishes or issues or cracks, because what that is it's holding the weight of the roof. And you can see here, we have two sections that have cracks down to blowouts, essentially what's happening in the double Ts. So what kind of started this, right, was for a long time, it's kind of been, and I hate to use the word like a fun joke, but it's kind of been like a colloquial thing, like, yeah, we got an old building. Yeah, we got an old building. Yeah, we got an old building. But I came down here during Tropical Storm Debbie and saw the amount of water that was coming in the building. I saw the amount of water that's going up into the drywall on the other side of Town Hall. And then I see our building losing power because of issues that we're having, and I see new cracks, even that one, popping up every 15 days, and cracks that have existed here spreading and opening up. And I had a hard conversation with myself, which is, if we contact somebody to come out here and take a look at this building, this is going to cause a serious, like, windstorm. Like, we're going to have a lot of plans. But then I immediately remembered, it's my job here to do the right thing. And even if that's the hard thing, is to do the right thing. So I called Mr. Skiba. Mr. Skiba was very kind and came out here to take a look at this building, because we needed to know, is it safe for us to be in this building? Is the air safe to breathe? We need to figure out what the next step is. And I'll elaborate in a minute, but what we've kind of historically done here, and I say historically, I mean us, like the board, us as staff, is we kind of have these two different ideas that we've kind of married together, that we've kind of almost blurred together. We've kind of always said, we need a new town hall so we can get out of this one, right? Like, we need a new building, we need to get out of this one. But really, I think it's two very different issues, right? I think there's a long-term need of a building, and there's a very short-term and very now serious need for a temporary location. And we'll get to that in a second, because I have plans for you. I know it was requested to come up with some thoughts. But it's two different things, right? Like, we can be in a safe place, and then that give us time to plan for the long term, right? We don't want to make haste and rush into a building that 5 years from now we've either outgrown or doesn't work for us, right? We want to have a very involved process, talking to police, talking to everybody here about what would make sense for a new building. But also, and Mr. Skiba will talk about this in a second, we don't want to be in this building during snow or even during heavy rain. So that's kind of the background to all this. For everybody that's here, for everybody listening, and for the board, it got to the point where I just felt like we need to make some action. Something needed to happen, because I don't want to put our employees, who don't deserve to be working in conditions like this. And there's a difference too, I want to also say, there's a difference between it stinks, it's old, we don't like the amenities, the toilet doesn't flush, and that's different. There's a difference in that, and is the building safe to be in? And that's what we needed to figure out. So Mr. Skiba, I will pass it to you if that's okay, with a big lead in. But Mr. Skiba came out, and I'll just kind of let you talk through maybe what you found when you were here.
Hey, Mr. Mayor and council, I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm sorry it's under the circumstances that it is, but your manager gave me a call and asked me to come out. For those of you that don't know me or what I do with the county, I'm Brian Skiba. I'm the Plan Growth and Development Manager for the county. So part of what I oversee is building inspections for the entire county. And so that's the role I came out as, is to look at the building, just to kind of give our opinion as to what we thought. And I think there's a couple statements that were made. Thank you for the great lead-in. You could have done this part, I believe, without. There's a couple statements that he made involved in that are the ones that are really the most concerning. And I think it's things where you're seeing the rapid change. It's one thing to have a building that is the old building type, or that you've got a few stress cracks. I have those in my house currently. And so I think everybody associates those with just old age and things settling. But when you're seeing those rapidly change in a very short amount of time, that's when you start having some concern. And I think it was very intuitive that we've got to call in, and then we started looking at the building. When I came out to look, it's not one or two stress cracks that you have throughout the building, you have more than I can count. That along top of water issues, which go anywhere from minor roof leaks in certain areas to you have what I consider to be one of the worst parts is you have ponding on the roof. So, water is extremely heavy, almost 9 pounds per gallon. And when you start stacking water on a roof, you get really heavy really quick. And so, adding those types of issues where you have foundation issues, you have cracking issues, and now you've got a bonding issue on the roof, you're setting yourself up for a disaster. And so, as we were walking through looking at the building, I never want to be Chicken Little and the sky is falling, but we want to verify what we think we're seeing. And there was enough issues throughout the building that I advised the manager that I thought we needed to get a structural engineer in ASAP to make a decision. It was already leaning towards the fact that I thought we need to be looking for y'all to move out of the building. And so, the manager got a hold of an engineer that came out that definitely verified that. I think when you start looking at some of these structural tees here, and this blowout on the bottom is signifying that you're getting weight on the top and is actually pushing that concrete down and is blowing out that structure. And so, this is enough to where I don't want to use the word condemn or to go to that route, but that's where you're at with the building. It's time to make a decision and find somewhere else that you can do business for a short time until you come up with a plan. We're here to support that transition into whether it be modular units or whatever you choose to do, because we want to make it easy for your residents and we want to make it easy on you. We're going to make sure that things are addressed, like handicap accessibility and access to the new units that you use. I will, I guess, give some words of encouragement that I've gone through this a couple times with a couple other jurisdictions. High Shoals is one of the first ones that comes to mind. They're building through a very similar situation, and they were able to transition into some modular units. They were very successful in using those while they built a new building. So you're not in uncharted waters, but should be easy to get through.
Yeah.
And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have for me.
And if I can kind of put the close on this comment, because so Mr. Skiba came out, advised us to look. When I talked to the structural engineer, the part that keeps me up at night, if you will, is he said, buildings do a good job of giving warnings. Things like that are almost past that point. So it's at a very serious point. And Mr. Skiba's been so great when supporting us as far as what the next steps are. And I have a plan that I'm prepared to present to the board. But if we have questions for maybe Mr. Skiba, then we'll do that now.
I was gonna add one piece that we haven't even touched upon, and that is the things that are like the mold, the mildew, the power issue in the back is extremely concerning. So there's other issues. If you take the structural piece completely away, you have other issues that are already starting to creep in as well. So you're really starting to compound a lot that we need to address. Sorry, I just.
No, that's
I wanna make
perfect.
sure that we-
Perfect.
Yeah. So I stepped in my own trap, and I mentioned mold, and I shouldn't have. I normally never do, because we're not mold and mildew experts. And there are multitude of different types of mold and mildew that are out there. And so you would need to get those tested to see if it is something that would be dangerous or would not. I see it as just another sign that you have issues. If it's not a dangerous type of mold, just the smell that is around, just the dampness, the things of that nature, are usually enough to just cause irritation that you don't want to be around all day.
Would you, if your wife was an employee of Town of Ranlo, would you want your wife in this building?
Thank you for that. I don't like to answer hypothetical questions. But, to be non-political, I'm very allergic to mold and mildew myself, and I don't like to be around it. So I'll answer it and say, no, I would not.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Skiba, thank you, and he'll be here at least for a couple minutes if you have questions while I kind of provide the last bit of plan, if we will. So knowing all that, knowing the context, knowing how fast this is going, and knowing that we have a town to run, what I started doing was coming up with a plan for how can this look and what my at least recommendation, or at least what my vision for this is, how can we get out of this building very quickly, right? But still provide the continuity of operations, because if we get 4 inches of rain, I don't want anybody in this building. So that's something that we're gonna have to consider. But here's the plan that will hopefully give some light here and kind of maybe show some of the direction. When I knew all this was going on, to me, the first two options, and I actually called the mayor of High Shoals because they went through this situation like Mr. Skiba said, and he was fantastic. He gave me a lot of great input, some lessons learned. We did this well. We probably should have done this. Should have considered this. IT is a big thing. And I got a lot out of our conversation about how we can maybe take a look at our transition into this. And remember, I want to root this back into, we have a long-term need, which we can focus on after we solve our more urgent, the building is not safe problem, right? So to me, the two options were, and I was talking to Mr. Steve about this, we could see if a local church has any available space, see if an industrial space has space, or get modulars. To me, I think modulars kind of stood out originally as the best idea when I'm thinking from IT, thinking from tech, I'm thinking about servers, I'm thinking about, all of our VPNs and things like that, all of our stuff that we could possibly put here. But then when we talked to the structural engineer and he basically said, this needs to be much, much sooner than later. I think now what it to me looks like, and here's kind of like what I'm calling my plan, but happy to have a conversation, is we would need to go somewhere sooner, until we can get a modular set up. So what I did, just in an effort of having a full plan for you, is I reached out. The town actually has a police chaplain, and it's the same as our fire chaplain over at the Ranlo Church of God. I know they have a middle building, and their council, I spoke to them earlier today and yesterday, they would be happy to house us until we can get a plan. So Chief and I actually walked through that church and identified different areas, billing, police, printing room, servers can be here. They have the big area where we were for the Faith and Freedom, where we could do council meetings. And they've been very kind in saying that they would be happy to open the doors for us to let us have that building. I think the best step would probably be go straight to modular, but if we're talking about a much more urgent situation than we originally were, even if it's hard to do, it's the right thing to do. I keep going back to that, right? In my head, now that we are talking about this, we have to be out of this building. I owe it to the residents that come and visit this building, and I owe it to every single employee that works in this building. I won't let something bad happen. Yeah, if I'm in charge, I'm not gonna let it happen. So my thought is we go to the Ranlo Church of God, pending, we're all, good with this plan sort of at the end of this conversation. Spend that time until we can get some nice modules worked out. Maybe Mr. Skiba have already talked about maybe reaching out to the school district, some different avenues about getting us to set up here. Run our temporary town hall out of a modular, whether it be a parking lot. We can solve some of the micro later. This is still kind of the 100,000 conversation. And then what that will be able to do is when we're in that temporary space, we know we have a safe roof for our heads. We know we have power to all the rooms that we need to have. And then we can start getting fired up about the conversation about our next step. What does the new building look like? Where do we want it? Do we want to change the park? All that stuff can start happening, and we don't have to feel this ticking time bomb creeping in on us, feeling like we have to make haste and quickly get into a police station that maybe we rushed and now we wish we would have thought about more, right? We can start having those conversations where we're in that safe space. So that's why I think it's so important to say there's an immediate urgent, and then we can absolutely be able to spend some time thinking about what the long-term plan is without having to do it at the same time. We don't need to have a new town hall right now to get out of this one. Let's be safe, and then we can focus on the long term. Yeah, they have given me, an original number, it's a very low number, of what the cost would be per month. Close that, should I close session thing? We still have to talk through, some of the numbers, he and I have to sit down. But I think he originally had said for like the whole building, something around like 2,000. Which I think, even a house in Mountain View, that building is, 30,000 square feet or whatever it is, right? So I think they're wanting to work with us, he's our police chaplain. We'd obviously, and we went over there and looked at, and I should have said this in the beginning too, the two kind of biggest things for me are focusing on continuity of operations and safety, and maybe even backwards, right? But so like, okay, maybe we make this decision that we go, and I'll talk about the timeline I'm thinking next. But we owe it to our citizens to have a very high standard and bar of the services that they receive, right? We want somebody to be able to know that when they call us, that they're going to get great service. And if we are able to go to that place, if we are able to move to the church before we consider a modular, there are perfect departments and areas and doors and windows, and we would have to do very, very little work to get that ready for us to inhabit. And then when we talk about modulars, if the design build is 1 to 3 year process, we'll be able to set it up the way we want to too. So as far as continuity of operations goes, and I'll talk about timeline, I'm saying I'm going to get to it, but I will. I don't foresee a big issue. The only thing I think I see happening, and I've actually already written a letter to all the residents going over all this stuff pending our conversation. The only thing I see happening is we don't want to have a huge lull in town hall. Like, we don't want to be down for a long time. We can't be down for a long time. We have a utility. We have very important projects and plans that are still going on. What I'm going to recommend that we do is we can talk about the dates of this, because I don't want to scare anybody and say next week, even though that's what I feel compelled to say, that we close town hall externally to the public for a week. We come in here to be able to get our things and go over and move, get Wi-Fi set up, get all the things set up, get our computer set up, get a new window set up with the bulletproof glass like we do, get ready. Instead of kind of double dipping and making it hard on ourselves, it's going to stink for a week if we close town hall to the public, but it'll give us time to be able to go through the logistics, plan it out, move over, and then when we cut the lights on, we're ready to start going again. So that's kind of my take. That's my kind of vision. I see it as 3 kind of different steps, thinking about the long term, thinking about the short term, but we gotta not forget the short term. And the most important thing is that, at least to me, and I think what we can probably hopefully agree on, is that it's not safe for us to be in this building. And it's honestly at the point where I think if we have a heavy rainstorm forecast, that we need to close down home.
Yeah, and that's not even, you've got to think about winter time coming.
Right.
So a snow load laying on this roof, it's a disaster waiting to happen. And I mean, it's to the point that I don't know we're at an option phase.
So we need to, also pay the utilities on that, bill 2,000 and pay the utilities.
I think it would be fair and just of us if we're using water and lights and keeping the air on, that we pay the utilities back. But at the same time, once we move, this building goes dark, we put a fence around it, and then, we're not paying this building to be cool, we're not paying the lights here, so it should be transferable.
So are you gonna, transfer all the, we don't have a safe down?
Right, so we're working through some of like the last little details about, like, for example, like evidence room, we think we've got a good plan for. All our files, we think we've got a good plan for, because there's a lot of state statutes that require, like, have to be behind a locked door, have to be whatever, something like this. So we're working through some of those things now, and we're gonna have those buttoned up by tomorrow. With the hopes that maybe we can start, if everybody's good with it, as early as next week, do some of this stuff. But we're working through some of that stuff. Now, there's a lot of compartments and areas that are lockable that we can put some of our things, and we're gonna move everything. At least my thought, my goal, what I would hope to do is, if when we get out of this building, and I hate to say it, I love this building, but when we get out of this building, I don't want anybody to ever come back in it again. So take some time to move, not rush it, and not say not rush it, but like not rush it so that we're trying to have we're collecting bills all at the same time. Let's do it right once, get set up, so when we open, we're ready to give high level service.
So there'll not be a drive-through then?
There won't be. No, sir. There won't be. But we have at least a loose plan now, where the side door that leads into, it's like a youth ministry room. We can just put a little wall there and be all set up. Billing can be there. We have a side, there's even an area on the side parking lot where there can be a separate police door, its own police station. We're very fortunate that they're being kind to us, and also the space is going to suit us.
And did you have a
So well.
structural engineer actually come out and look at the building?
That's a great question. So let me tell you exactly what happened. So when Mr. Skiba said you need to contact the structural engineer, call one on the phone. He said, I can be out there next week. Perfect. Talking about this week coming up next. I said, perfect. He said, can you give me some of the photos and maybe just tell me some of the story before I drive out there? I said, absolutely. So we talked for an hour on the phone, sent him all the pictures. He said, I can tell you right now that you need to start moving out of that building. He said, I can still come out next week and I'm charged for my billable hours. He said, but what you're gonna get from me is y'all need to be out of this building. So that's why I kind of moved this up fast enough to say, because, won't let happen, what I'm not okay with and won't go to sleep at night well, is if I wait 2 more weeks for somebody to tell us what we already knew and God forbid something happened.
Which is impactful in itself because the structural engineer wants to come out and do an evaluation. That's his job and that's his livelihood. So for him to make that statement over the phone, knowing he was probably cutting himself out of coming out here, is pretty impactful.
And his exact words, which were profound, which were, I have a duty at the end of the day to protect human health and safety. He said, and I feel compelled to tell you that right there does not happen. So that's kind of the background, Mr. Skiba's involvement, which we're very grateful for. Structural engineer telling us exactly what we thought. And then my kind of short-term, mid-step, long-term idea to put safety first. I think I've touched on all the spots, but happy to entertain. And I don't even necessarily know if that needs motions or anything specific, but that's at least what I'm laying out for.
Motion
Proceed, yeah.
Yeah.
proceed to
Through the plan of
Church of God.
Yeah.
Fellowship building, for operations.
Yeah.
It's on the board.
I'll make a motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Doug? He done?
He did mention too, if he ever hops off, it might be he's on a call because he's at the station. Oh, there he is.
Next item on the agenda. Thank you for coming out, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Skiba.
Next item on the agenda will be Spencer Heights speed bumps. You was gonna get us a price on those?
I sure was, and I sure did. So let's go through it real quick. Yeah, take your time. So I have a sheet in your packet, if you would take a look. I meant to put it in the slide, I forgot to. Yeah, we worked through this. Yeah, this we actually worked. So I was, the Spencer Heights HOA was kind enough to let me speak to, well, let me back up. So we had the discussion last month about putting in the speed bump on Sapphire. Sorry, this was in August, about this speed bump on Sapphire. I came to the board, that was in July, came to the board in August and said, because of Commissioner Connor said, can we consider putting some in Spencer Heights as well? And then we kind of came back in the August meeting and said, I think it was Commissioner Locklear actually had the idea when we were speaking, said, well, do the folks in the neighborhood actually want this? Or are we just kind of deciding? I know Commissioner Connor does, but like, have we reached out to the community? Have we had that conversation? So since our last meeting, I did go and attend the virtual HOA meeting, and it was super productive. And so what we put together, and what you'll notice, I didn't give you last time's map, but what we have is what the HOA kind of mentioned was that the one further down Wicklow towards the cul-de-sac, and I'm kind of pointing to it if you can see this far, the one that was down here was not necessarily needed. It was maybe not the best idea. I also added that there was another existing one back here further up, is it Sun River? That one I didn't have on the map the first time, but there's another one back here. What was mentioned by the community, which I think there's a lot of value in, and I think actually this was a spot you talked about. So now what we have are 2 proposed locations here. The 2 red, one sort of right where that last kind of grass lot is on Wicklow when you come into Spencer Heights, just before the housing starts there on the right, as one of the new proposed spots that I believe Commissioner Connor liked and that the HOA definitely was in support of. And then the one that you see kind of in between the two, that's the same from last time as well. That one we think is a good idea. What the homeowners association suggested, which I actually think is a fantastic idea, is instead of going forward with putting asphalt on the ground and committing to it, they asked, do we have a temporary structure? And I believe we have one in the police department. I've yet to have a conversation with Jimmy about it. But we can put out a temporary speed bump, meet with the HOA a month later. Did you like it? Did it work? Did we see any improvement? Is that worth going forward and putting asphalt down? Because if they come back and say, it didn't do anything, or actually that wasn't as great as maybe we thought it was, right? So to have that conversation around, let's do a temporary one right there at the beginning of Wicklow. A month later, I'll meet with the HOA, see how we like it, bring it to the board, and then we can talk about if we want to put a speed bump in. I think it's a fantastic idea. And to do the same thing with the second one. And to answer your question, Mayor, it's about $825 for the bump.
Are we doing the bumps or the humps?
So the bump and the table are the two different ones. That can be a part of the board's discussion. So we have them in different areas. Obviously, they do different things.
Yeah.
Tables you can still go pretty quick over. Like the bumps on Boulder Court at the back of Mountain View. You got to come to a stop to that. Those are effective. I about jumped my car a couple times on those.
Yeah.
So it can be a part of that discussion with the board to see what you kind of think and what you want. But before each night, and this may be a question for Mr. Tosco. Well, I don't think we necessarily have to get an approval for a temporary speed bump that we're going to put on a street that's not asphalt.
And cost of the town.
It's just like police would put up a temporary speed bump. So maybe just with the board's blessing, then this is kind of how we're going to move forward. If you're okay with the proposed locations, we'll do temporary in each spot. If me and the HOA or the HOA and I decide that we like it, I'll come to the full board for potential permanent space. Talked a lot, but that sums it up.
Next item.
Nothing too crazy to report. Y'all know you're starting to hopefully get used to this. These are the two finance report sheets you get every single month. Nothing crazy to highlight here. First page is all of our accounts, interest accrued. Second page is our annual operating budget. Where we stand, we are currently 18.13% through the fiscal year, with 81% of our fiscal year remaining. That shows you how far we're along through the fiscal year. That is just for your information. Happy to answer questions, but it doesn't need a vote or anything like that.
Question.
Yep, so I will keep running my mouth if that's okay. So the Ranlo Avenue Extension project that started a long time, I think before I was here, that is the end of Ranlo Avenue where it looks over towards Mountain View and it goes down there's like a dirt path now. And then not only the roadway extension, but the water line to go with that as well. So that project you should know about. It's been around for a long time. What we had done in the past couple months is we put the project out for bid. We advertised. We got some folks that were interested, and since last month's meeting, we actually had the bid opening here. Our engineers came down. We had the full sealed bids of contractors that came in that were interested in bidding on the project. And what we intend to hopefully do tonight is the Lewis Site Development Group actually had the low bid for this project, and you can see some of that information here. So what I would entertain questions from the board, but what before you tonight is to award the Lewis Site Development Group with the award for the Ranlo Avenue Extension and Water Line projects.
Motion. And a second. Second, okay. All in favor? So carried.
Awesome.
Get it done.
That's right.
Right, business town manager report.
Yes, sir. I'll keep this brief. I know I've been talking a lot. So the council T-shirts, name badges, and retirement plaque have been ordered. I'll be picking those up soon. I don't know if they'll be in before next weekend, but like I'd mentioned, we're going to have some nice council shirts that are white polos with a Ranlo logo that'll say mayor, town commissioner, whatever, mayor pro tem. That'll be really nice. Since last month's meeting, we had the event for Kalen Brown down at the baseball stadium. I think it was, it was unbelievable. It was really profound to be there and watch. I think Commissioner Connor could be thanked for putting literally all of it together. But you and I, Mayor, were fortunate enough to speak at the event, and you were quoted in the news a couple times. I was putting the Gaston County video, so it was great that Ranlo was there, and we were able to represent and be proud of our Olympian. But that was a really exciting thing that happened last month. We got a couple events coming up, obviously our Fall Festival and then our Faith in Blue Festival coming up in October. YMCA has just told us that flag football is going to be here as well. So they're doing soccer, now they're doing flag football. We've done it, sports are in Ranlo, and we're going to keep doing that here on the field. It's going to be great. Last thing I'll say before I'll let Cap give our PD report, I would be remiss if I did not take a second to thank the one and only Jason Green for his service to the town of Ranlo. Let's give him a little round of applause. Thanks. Jason, I thought about doing a thing in the beginning, but I didn't know if you maybe didn't want all that attention. But, you know, I got to speak for him a couple months ago when he got his 5 years, and you heard some of the stats about him bringing our, you know, water's gold. We pay for water. So if there's lines breaking, if it's wasted, it's gold running down the street. And Jason, since he's gotten here, we used to lose 30-some% of our water loss, like water that is not accounted for, that doesn't go through a meter, that we can't recuperate some of that cost. And it's went from like 36, 38% down to like 14% in Jason's time since he's gotten here. Jason has obviously served as the interim town manager in several instances, has really built up that public works department to a really outstanding group, to the point where, you know, when storms and natural disasters happen now, people are looking at us, and that's really something. And I want to just say that's all because of Jason's leadership. So it's heartbreaking that he's going over to Mount Holly. And I think he's going to do fantastic over there. I think he's going to be great. We're losing a great one. So I just wanted to give Jason a shout out for a second and thank you, like, genuinely. You obviously had a big part in me being in this position too, and letting me know about kind of stuff that was going over here. But you're gonna be missed, and the things that you have done for Ranlo quite literally have changed the trajectory of this town for the rest of its existence. So thank you very much, Jason, for your time with us. We will miss you dearly. Cap, if you want to go ahead with the PD report, that wraps up all the things I have to say.
Commissioners, the Ranlo Police Department had 540 events in the month of August, including non-arrest and 32 citations. Also, to make you aware, you have a picture on the front of your packet. September 5th, we, on the traffic stop, we recovered over 60 pounds.
Yeah, I think, if I may, Cap, that's absolutely worth celebrating. I mean, there is an incredible amount of illegal things that were taken on a picture on this table. I should have washed my hands. But we should celebrate that. That's a huge amount of a win for the Ranlo Police Department. That stuff is not on the street anymore. So Cap and the chief, everybody, that's a fantastic job. That's really well.
Weapons. That's hopefully out of Ranlo now and say.
Yes, ma'am. Mayor, that concludes all we have for the town manager's report. That concludes all of our stuff.
Comment from Mayor, I was at the MPO meeting, I did discuss that with the DOT department about our sign. They said that we would have to submit what we want on the sign. It would take probably a year or so to get 18 months. And we could only keep it up for 4 years, and then what we did with it, it would be up to us. I would assume we would give it to Kate. Once we took it down.
It's great. It's really great.
And then that would be just a regular sign that went under the town of Ranlo sign.
Yeah.
We wanna do something bigger, it would be from us personally, from the town personally.
Yeah.
We'd, do that also.
It's fantastic. I can start working with DOT if you'd like.
Same.
I would like to say something. My heart breaks. I'm gonna miss Jason Green. It's so rare that you meet one person that is so good at so many things. I mean, you could talk firehouse talk, cause he's been a firefighter. You could talk police talk to him, cause he's been a police officer. You could talk to our manager, cause he knew how to do that too. I mean, Jason, you have been just a star. I mean, when we were at our lowest, you were at your best. You helped bring us out through some hard times here in the town of Ranlo, and, we've always done it with class. You're very loyal. You've just been great. And, I can't stand Jonathan Blank. Holly. But you definitely deserve better, you deserve more, because you're really good. You're really good. So, I wish you the best, getting the best of you, getting the best. Thank you,
You ain't taking anybody. That's not you. Hey, we try, what are we, training?
Wait till the new building.
Next item would be closed session, Susan, North Carolina General Statute, 43-318, point 11-6. Have a motion?
Make such a motion.
Right, so motion, got a second. So we'll ask everybody to vacate the room as we go into closed session.
And I need a vote, though. We need a vote. Oh, I didn't hear a vote. I heard the motion, the second. Unanimous.
Together, you back. Take a break.